Okay. So today we're going to use your periodic table to look at some different things. First of all, I want you to look at your periodic table, and I want you to find the square. We'll just find the square for lithium, Li, which has your 3 up here, and below it should have 6.941. So when we look at this, what's that number called? Number 3. Yep, this is atomic number. Just a little review. What's the correct name for that 6.941? Good. This is the average atomic mass. If I take that and I round it to a whole number, yep, then it equals mass number. Good. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of new information, and we're not going to do a whole lot with it this chapter, but we come back to it in a couple chapters. This kind of lays the foundation. This whole block on the periodic table, the little square, is called a mole, M-O-L-E. It represents what's called a mole. That's just the name given to it. And that is equal to the number of grams in 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms of that element. So kind of a big number. We're not going to go much farther into it right now than that. So each little square on the periodic table, you should have your periodic table out, but each little square, whether I'm looking at, everybody find potassium with me on your periodic table. We'll look at potassium, let's look at nickel, and let's look at sulfur. So when I look at potassium, everybody find it? When I look at potassium, what's the mass of 1 mole of potassium? Carter. 39 point what? 098. What about nickel, Josh?
Nickel.
Ni.
58.693.
Yep, 58.693. And what about sulfur, Emma? 32.0. Is it 66? Yes. Okay, so all of these masses, when I write them in grams, represent 1 mole. So no matter what element I pick off the periodic table, I can, if I use that atomic mass, I can call it 1 mole. We can also say that it equals the molar mass of the element, or it equals the mass of 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms. I think you've heard that before in math. It's an equivalency factor where they're all equal to each other.
That's 6.02.
6.02 times 10 to the 23rd atoms. So I can look at, does everybody have that? Can I flip the page? So I can look at the periodic table, and I'm just going to pick calcium. I'm just going to pick, it doesn't make any difference what element I pick. And I'm going to say, I can look at that and I can say 1 mole of calcium equals, I could say to you guys, how many grams? See if you can find that. 1 mole of calcium equals how many grams of calcium? See if you can find it. Isaac, did you find it?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
40.07.
40.078. I could also say, everybody see where we got that from? I could also say 1 mole of calcium to you guys equals how many atoms?
Oh, 8. Okay.
1 mole equals how many atoms? Again, this is just calcium right off the periodic table. So 1 mole equals how many atoms? Josh, can you tell me that?
6.02.
Good. 6.02 times 10 to 23rd atoms. So it doesn't matter what block I pick off the periodic table, if I ask you how many atoms are in 1 mole of anything, it's 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. This is called Avogadro's number. And all I want you to know right now is this is the number and that's the guy that found it. We'll do way more with it later, but for now we're just planting the seed. Questions? All right, so let's look at this and let's use it just a little bit. So find lithium, and I want you to tell me its molar mass. See if you can do that. I'll give you a couple. We'll see if you can do it. Let's try lithium, and let's try, ooh, what's the chemical symbol for gold?
AU.
AU. Let's try gold. Carter, you got them both, or are you still looking? Okay. So what's lithium? Carter, sorry. 6.941. We've already had that one. What about gold, Emma? Yep, 196.967. So I'm going to tell you this, and you have to remember it. When we're working problems, you probably can't see that. In problems, round to the 10th place. Is that good? Okay. So when you're working problems, you round to the 10th place. So let's look at these two. After you get that written down, so you remember it. Look at that lithium. What's it going to round to? Look at what's behind it. This doesn't round up the 4. Does the 4 round up the 9? No, so it would just be 6.9 grams. If I look at my gold, what do I end up rounding to? Yeah, 197 grams. Okay? So whenever we work these problems, we round to the 10th place. So let's do some example problems. And let's start with one of our diatomic elements. Let's start with N2, gas. So when I see something like that, the first thing I want to do is I want to go to the periodic table and I want to find nitrogen. And I want to find its molar mass. So do that. Remember, round it to the 10th place. So when I round it to the 10th place, what do I get, Carter? Yep, 14.0 grams. That's the molar mass of what?
Nitrogen.
One nitrogen, right? Just one. How many do I have?
2.
So I come down here and I write N equals, and however many I have, I put in parentheses out front. N equals 2 because I have 2 of them, times whatever the molar mass is. Times 14.0 grams. So I can say that the molar mass of N2 equals 28 grams. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so we're just going to practice with some more. Let's try something a little different. Any questions before I move on to get a little harder? Okay, so the next one we're going to do is NaCl. And let's say I want to know the molar mass, and I want to know the number of atoms in 1 mole. How are we going to go about doing that?
The first one's sodium, the second one's chlorine.
Okay, so we have to write those down. Na equals Cl equals. So you guys find those. When I look up sodium, Josh, what'd you round sodium to?
23.
Yep, and I would write it like this, you guys, 23.0. I want to take everything out to the tenths place. And then when I find chlorine, I believe that should be 35.5.
Yep.
Okay, now what am I going to do with those?
Add 'em.
Yeah, I'm just going to add them together. So when I do that, check this on your calculator, but when I do that, it looks like it's 58.5 grams. Make sure I'm right.
Yeah,
That's how many grams in what?
1 mole.
Hmm.
Gram.
Good. So I actually write this as grams per mole. And yes, MOL is the abbreviation for mole. It's not much of an abbreviation. So I write it as grams per mole. How many atoms are in that mole? Ooh. Yeah, same answer. This is like a thank you answer.
All of them have the same amount. Like, how do you... Because if all of them have the number of atoms in 1 mole, are they all going to have the same amount of atoms?
Yes, in a mole.
Okay.
But maybe not in, like, if I said 5.6 moles, then no. But we're not going to worry about that right now. Right now, the thing is to get that number in your head, Avogadro's number, or the number of atoms in 1 mole, and to be able to figure out molar mass. Those are our goals today. Okay, so let's look at something a little harder. Still not very hard, though. Let's look at, let me give you a different one. Let's look at zinc. It's called zinc bromide, which I would write as ZnBr2. And I want you to find the molar mass. I'm going to let you see what you can do with it. And I want you to write the units correctly. See what you come up with. Okay, what's the molar mass of zinc? Emma, what's the molar mass of zinc? 65.39, which rounds to what? Yep, 65.4 grams per mole. And bromine is, what's bromine, Isaac? 79.9 grams per mole. What do I have to do with that bromine, Carter? Double it, multiply it by 2. Is that 159.8? Okay, and this one's still 65.4 grams. And then I just have to add them. Yes? Does that make sense, Josh?
Yep.
Who's got them added? What you got, Josh?
225.2.
225.2, and what should the units be?
Grams.
Yeah,
Grams what?
per mole.
Per mole. Okay, let me give you one that's even harder. Okay, any questions over that before I give you one that's harder? You got it, Carter? Emma, you good? You guys are okay? All right. Ready? See what you do with this one. NH4, that's ammonium, 2 times CO3. That's called ammonium carbonate, which I don't expect you to know the name, but see if you can tell me the molar mass. I'm going to let you try it on your own.
Who's that arrow?
What is what?
An arrow?
This? That's a 2.
No, before that. In the parentheses.
That's a 4, the number 4.
I don't know.
Sorry, that is NH4 in parentheses 2 times CO3. NH4 CO3. Sorry about that. I'm going to flip it onto a clean sheet of paper so I've got more room. So before I let you guys go too far, let me ask you a question. This 2 outside of the parenthesis, what does it do to everything inside? Do you know the answer to that?
Yeah.
What's it do?
It multiplies everything.
It multiplies. So since we haven't done this before, let's look at this. 2 times 1 gives me 2 nitrogen.
Yeah.
2 times 4 gives me 8 hydrogen, and then it doesn't apply to my carbonate. I've got 1 carbon, and I've got 3 oxygen. And then you can go through and find your molar masses. Once you have your molar masses, stop, and we'll fill them in here. And I'll just go around the room and get one of them from each of you. Carter, what's the molar mass for nitrogen? Yep, just 14.0 grams per mole. Emma, what's hydrogen? Yeah, just 1 gram per mole. Josh, what's carbon?
12.
12 grams per mole. And oxygen, Isaac, what's oxygen? 16 grams per mole. And then I have to go through and I have to do my multiplication. So do that, and then let's check it. Or check it with mine.
Teachers, please pardon this interruption. If you have a Chrome card that is not being used today, please call the high school office because we need it in the art room. Thank you.
Is that what you got, Josh? No.
Wait.
So when you're done, check with mine and see if yours looks like mine.
Oh, that's it.
And if it doesn't, see if you made a mistake or I made a mistake.
I forgot to add a pen.
You forgot what?
forgot that, so I added the 8,
Okay.
but I forgot to add 1 on the
Oh,
end.
okay.
So I added 86 instead of 96.
Gotcha. Emma, did you get an answer? Does it match mine? Carter, did yours match? Or are you not there yet?
No, I was just being silly.
Okay. You get it? You're good? I'm going to give you one more to try, then I'm going to let you work on your homework.
Oh, what a silly goose.
Got it? Okay. I'm going to give you one more. Al2 SO4 3 times. That's called aluminum sulfate. Tell me the molar mass and I'll leave lots of room. The number of atoms in 1 mole aluminum sulfate. Okay, I'm going to let you try it. Remember, list your elements, list how many there are, and then find your molar masses. So I'm going to do my aluminum, my sulfur, and my oxygen. But don't forget to apply the subscripts. Remember these little things? You might want to write this down. These are called subscripts when we're working with chemical formulas. How many sulfur do I have? 3. Carter's saying 3. Carter, how many oxygen do I have? It'd be 3 times 4. So 12. So I've got 12 times 16.0. I believe sulfur is 32.1 grams. And aluminum, I never remember aluminum. Is it 27? Something like that? Is it just flat 27?
Yeah.
Okay. Two times 16, that's 32. Oh, it's 12. Whoops. So 12 times 16 is actually 192. I'm going to write it over here. That would be 96.3. And that would be 54.0. Isaac, did you add all that up already?
Yeah.
What'd you get?
342.3.
342.3 grams per mole. If you don't put units on, I'll take off. Al2 SO4 3 times. Did you get that yet, you guys? Or are you still working? Is that what you got, Carter?
Yes.
Okay. Make sure our answers check. How many atoms in 1 mole?
6.02 times
Yep.
10 to the
6.02 times 10 to the 23rd. And what's that called? Whose number is that?
Shoot.
Some guy with an A.
Long name.
Yeah.
Look it up! Avogadro! It's Avogadro, yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Okay. So we're going to stop there. And you guys at home, or even you guys here, we're going to work on the back of that sheet that has all those different ones we can find molar mass for. Okay? Have a good day, everybody at home.
Bye.